random junk from the archives.
Drum and bass artist, or should it be not drum and bass, drum and bass?
Drum and bass.
Drum and bass artist Goldie is best known as the pioneer of electro music, releasing an album 20 years ago, considered by dance music fans to be a classic today.
And that, of course, not only the only string to his bow, because Goldie has also made him self-heard through other genres, mainly, well, classical music, drum and bass, all sorts of music. He's also an incredible artist. I mean, I was just saying to you, Goldie, when I was reading the brief for you, which is what, you know, the notes that we get about our guests and researching on the internet, it was like reading information about 5 or 6 different people. Yeah. You have sort of almost like a multiple personality with all the strings to your bow.
Kind of mad, I don't know what it is. I think it's just, you know, it really is, don't wish too hard as it might come true. I just tried so many different things when I was young, you know? And I think just being young and wanting to be someone and wanting to, you know, art and music was my thing. You know what I mean? When all else was failed, music and art.
And you became someone with a hit called Inner City Life, which is this.
Amongst others, here we go.
Living free. I long to feel. I long to be in your love.
And it really, it stands the test of time, because you wouldn't think I was 20 years old.
20 years old, yeah,
Maybe
I know.
yesterday it's just as fresh as ever. When you started compiling these sounds, though, how do you put them together?
I don't know, it's just, I've always been painting, so I've always seen it as colour. I've always arranged sound as colour, and I think that's why the whole thing in conducting, I got into all of that, because it's the same thing, believe it or not.
Much easier now, I suppose, because you can do it on a laptop, but in those days you couldn't, could you?
Yeah, it was very outboard then, you know, we were really kind of, you know, pulling in sounds and collating stuff, and it's a lot easier now, because there's a lot of software around to do that. But I think being an artist, you have a general idea of what you want to do. So I know this is my canvas, and I want this kind of picture. I want to be able to go and get this idea. And I don't think I'd make music the same as if I hadn't painted. If I wasn't to paint, I don't think I would. And they said this music would die very quickly. That was 20 years ago, and it's still here. And I think it shaped the way the electronic music is now generally across the board.
Yeah.
Same, they said it about graffiti in the 70s in New York. Oh, it's the bane of society, and now it's in the Mondeo in LA, and it's you know, you've got people like Banksy and all these great artists that you know, do really well with it.
There's still, though, people who would listen to music like that, or perhaps some of the more hardcore sort of drum and bass music, or jungle music, of course, that you're associated with, and would still listen to it and go, that's not music.
Well, that's the naysayers. I mean, I played last night. I've had 2 hours sleep. I played at a place called Dogma last night in Nottingham to a whole new generation, and they wouldn't leave. It was like it was unbelievable. But I also think that society needs, you know, young people. We all went out when we were young. I just happened to just not get old. You know what I mean? And there's a whole new generation going out there that listen to music. And I think if we didn't have music and art, where would we be, really?
Yeah, 2 hours sleep. You're looking pretty good on it.
It's all that Bikram yoga. That's me.
Is it? Do you do that?
Bikram yoga, yeah. 5 days a week. Bikram yoga, yeah. I swear by it. I started 3 years ago, and I had a really bad accident, and I nearly lost my leg, as you do, doing mad stuff. And
what? No, hang on. You almost lost your leg?
I nearly lost my leg in a water ski accident, and I was in hospital for like 4 months. And I just had a divorce and went through. I was really down and out. And my friend said, "Why don't you try Bikram yoga?" So I got into Bikram, and next week is my 3rd Bikram birthday, and I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've done like probably 72, 75 studios around the world. Everywhere I go, I have to make sure there's a Bikram studio.
And people get kind of addicted to it, don't they?
Yeah, but it's better. It's a healthy addiction.
It gives you peace of mind, does it?
Total peace of mind, total focus. But I think the kind of byproducts, the B product, is the physical attributes, but the mental is the 80. That's what I get. I mean, I'm so focused now in terms of work, and you know, I mean, this year I've done nearly 18 pieces of work for a solo show in September. And then we've got Timeless project for the Science Museum, which is a fully orchestrated version of this album. So many things happening that I feel like I'm 18 again and knocking them out the park, you know. Yeah. And I really put that down to yoga, really. I really do.
Well, you've got to be. I suppose it grounds you, doesn't it? That. I mean, were you when you were conducting an orchestra for BBC's Maestro? Yeah. Was that pre-yoga?
Yeah, no, it was. I was doing Bikram then,
wow.
And. I was approached by Peter Manuri and said, I want to try this, I want to try conducting.
Right.
And,
let's have a look, see how you got on.
Un moto di gioia mi sento nel petto che annunzia diletto in mezzo il timor.
Again, it's like watching a different person. And how did people react? How did the orchestra react?
Oh, I had a few people in the orchestra, the naysayers, were a bit like, you know, what's Forte Messe? Well, I don't know what Forte Messe is. I come from electronic music. Once I got my head around the language, the similarities between drum and bass music and classical are very much the same.
Okay, just explain that for us.
Well, because when classical music first came out, it was very, you know, these big pieces of arrangement, and people were like, they were, you know, really anti in terms of, you know, normal music. You know, some people like classical. Well, within classical music, there's a lot of stuff that's a bit, and there's stuff which is like Elgar and Gorecki, and it's really beautifully arranged, and you can get right into that. And I think electronic music, if you find the right electronic music, you do have that same kind of feeling with it, and you know.
You've got this retrospective album, The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Does it include your classical work as well as your drum and bass and jungle work?
Well, I think my influence with things like Timeless, especially, I think there is definitely that string to it. But I think for me, Timeless was always a blueprint, and Cine Temple, being without time, was always a blueprint for a bigger piece. I don't think I've done my great work yet. I think Science Museum, Timeless, full orchestral, you know, that will be me. That's what I want to do. That's my goal.
Your best work is yet to come.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Well, you've got to do some more yoga, and that'll bring you the inspiration.
Yeah.
All right.
We barely touched on your painting.
Yeah, well, I think that's my main love. I mean, I
painted the Queen, didn't you? Of course.
Well, I did
in
the Queen for the 60th, yeah. But the show is called Lost Tribes. It's in September.
Okay.
Brilliant. We'll look forward to that.
And yeah,
we've got to go.
Thanks,
then.
Goldie. The album The Alchemist, Best of Goldie 1992-2012 is available now.